No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by PlayNow, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
In a season of historic firsts for the Winnipeg Jets, we might as well add one more historic first, and that is the first ever Game 7 to be played in Winnipeg at the NHL level. That'll happen on Sunday, thanks to the St. Louis Blues holding court at home and the Winnipeg Jets with yet another epic collapse, this one by a 5-2 margin to the Blues of St. Louis. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Dave Manouk's in the top corner, Ezra Ginsburg's in the bottom middle, and I'm your host, Drew Mandel. I don't know if many of you can see it, but I'm wearing a Vikings t-shirt that says optimistic since 1961. I don't know how many of you in the audience are feeling the same way now that we have Game 7 coming up on Sunday night. But it's down to a one-game winner-take-all, from a best-of-7 to a best-of-3 to a best-of-1 on Sunday. And all you can ask for is a chance. And the Winnipeg Jets have that chance, albeit with a lot of baggage on their back. Gentlemen, good to see you on this Friday night. The Jets' golden opportunity did not come to fruition.
What's up, boys? Yeah, obviously a huge disappointing loss. And yeah, Drew, I hope that you maybe have a doctor in front of your name, because this might be another therapy session, including games 3 and 4 in St. Louis, where a lot of Jets fans had to watch our post-game show and just be together and feel better about themselves. But yeah, guys, that second period again, right? Like everything falls apart. It was looked like it was starting off with a huge goal by Morgan Barron. Obviously, Mason Appleton goes out offside. The review confirms it. And even though the Jets tie the game up and were controlling the second period, there was absolutely no doubt the Jets were the better team, dictating the pace, getting the majority of scoring chances, and it just all started to fall apart. And obviously, sorry, I was just going to say, Drew, Connor Hellebuck's goaltending is something we're going to talk about, guys. But, I mean, this is not all on Connor Hellebuck. I mean, the defense in front of him was not good enough. Obviously, look, the Braden Shen goal, the third goal, I think, that's a goal that everybody's going to point to. That was a goal that Hellebuck should have stopped, Dave. But I'm not ready to say that this is completely Connor Hellebuck's fault. Look, he wasn't good. I'm not going to go easy on Hellebuck here. He wasn't good tonight, but the Jets also weren't good enough in front of him. They didn't deserve to win this game.
To me, Dave, what's so amazing about this isn't that the Jets lost. Mm-hmm. Frankly, I mean, you're going into St. Louis. St. Louis has been great at home. They've been great at home in these playoffs. Both teams have been. It's the fragility that you're seeing from the Jets, particularly on the road, that is astounding to me. To Ezzy's point, the Jets were the better of the two teams in the second period. Frankly, Nikolaj Ehlers has 2 golden opportunities to give the Jets the lead. Doesn't score. Binnington makes 2 nice saves. The Blues turn the tables. They get their goal to take the 2-1 lead. We'll get into it all as we break it down here on the Betway, on the PlayNow game recap. But 2-1, and then the Jets just absolutely fall apart. Just turn to crumble into dust. That, to me, is the part that is so unbelievable, that a 1-goal deficit can destroy a team as quickly as it destroyed the Jets in the second period.
The old attention to detail, Drew, that was definitely lacking, and it's evident on the Mason Appleton offside for Morgan Barron. I mean, that could have been a killer. It didn't end up being, because Cole Perfetti would score, a few minutes later. But the fact of the matter is that their details, which is weird because they came out the right way. The Jets were the better of the two teams in the opening few minutes of this game. The crowd really wasn't particularly loud. Like there was almost a bit of a nervous energy in the St. Louis crowd, not in the second period, not when they started getting it rolling, but it was like the Jets, like I said, they had the good start. So you're like, okay. And then of course, St. Louis started to pour it on. Scoring on their first goal helps, but I still didn't think it was overwhelming at that point. And you're wondering, okay, remember, let's not forget, there's a little detail. The Jets are the best road team in the NHL this season. So you're like, are they going to be able to finally start to show what they're made of? And of course, big boost, Nikolaj Ehlers, like ripping off the non-yellow non-contact jersey. I mean, Scott Arniel, I was at the airport yesterday with the media availability, and that's how he kind of left his thing, because they asked, Weber asked him if he was going to be if Ehlers was going to be on the road, and he's like, yeah, and see what color jersey he's in tomorrow. Kind of like dun dun dun. So you're like, okay, whatever, we'll pay attention to that.
Games, but I mean, everybody thought it was gamesmanship more than a sign that Ehlers is going to be back in the lineup.
Absolutely, I didn't think it was. I said, it even if he's in a non-regular jersey, I thought it's probably more than likely that he's just going to be, And then of course the guys who were down in St. Louis were reporting that Ehlers was taking line rushes with Adam Lowry and Cole Perfetti. So you're like, okay, you've lost Mark Scheifele, and that's a killer. There's no question about it. You cannot have your top center and act as if somehow it's going to be not impactful for a team. But getting Ehlers is such a huge boost, especially given the fact that you need him to kind of be able to do what he does. Now, of course, he hasn't played a lot of hockey. He hasn't played since, I believe, April 12th or something like that. So he's been out of the lineup.
Saturday night in Chicago.
Right. So he's been out of the lineup for a bit, but still you're hoping that he's going to, if you're a Jets fan, you're hoping that he's going to make a big difference, and again, he's not replacing Mark Scheifele, but he's bringing in, a difference to that top six. And so, yeah, I mean, again, like I said, it's a do or die for St. Louis. You knew they were going to come out hard. They've come out hard and they've played exceptionally well at home. So, I mean, it's not unexpected, but to me, it was just, the DeMello miscue behind the net. And I know they highlighted it as on the broadcast, but again, it's symbolic of how this Jets team was. They were slow. They were apathetic. And so, yeah, look, Connor Hellebuck, that third goal cannot go in. The second goal, I'm less, the first goal I don't blame him for. The second goal is just a defensive lapse on the team. We'll get into it when we do the
Nino Niederreiter's right there in front of the net.
So is Gabriel Velarde.
Velarde's a little late getting there as well.
Both of them were. Niederreiter and Gabriel Velarde are puck watching. Velarde at least is trying to get to the man, but Nino is doing absolutely nothing. And so you're sitting there going if you wanted the best seats in the house, you didn't even have to pay for them. You could have just gone and sat on the glass, but you've got the best seats in the house. You can have an impact. You don't. So, but that third goal, when the game is tight, and again, I didn't think the Jets were, when they were down 1-0, I thought, okay, they're down 1-0, but really this game is not out of reach in any stretch of the imagination. Even 2-1, boys, I'm like, okay, this team can do it. But then,
especially the way they'd been playing. Sorry,
that's what I mean.
Interrupt you for a second. The way they've been playing, they give up that second goal, and it's disappointing. But that's not a goal on Hellebuck. That's a poor play by those two players, Velarde and Niederreiter in front. It's a poor play by Josh Morrissey in just flipping the puck to the St. Louis Blues. It's a poor line change, I thought, as well. There's a number of errors that occur there. Okay, you've given up a second goal.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. I mean, you weren't going to win the game 2-1. It's unlikely that you were going to win the game 2-1. But just to have the epic collapse after that is, to me, that's just so stunning. It's for a team that has been really mentally tough all year, to have the performances that they've had in St. Louis, think about it. Game 3, fine, whatever. Bad game. Game 4, you're up 1-0. You have the lead in St. Louis in game 4. Went to shit after that. We know that. Pardon my French. I apologize. Game 6, you're tied. You're playing well. You're skating with them. You're matching them. You're their equal, if not their better. You give up a disappointing goal, and you just stop playing altogether.
Well, and Drew, that's why, the third goal, and again, we're going to break this down as we always do in the PlayNow game recap. The third goal, I see a lot of people, we've posted some comments about the third goal, the Braden Shen goal. Everyone agrees that goal has to be stopped by Hellebuck. So we're not going to beat a dead horse.
Right.
The fourth goal almost bothers me. The fifth goal bothers me. I'll explain why the fourth goal bothers me more almost than any of the other goals that were allowed. The fifth goal is inexcusable for Dylan DeMello just to stop playing there.
Yeah, he did just stop.
I think
playing.
you guys saw what I saw. He's thinking maybe Kyle Connor comes back and gets that puck, but Dylan DeMello can't. That's inexcusable.
He just hung his head.
You just can't do that in game 6 of the playoffs. It's one thing if you do that maybe in the preseason or even, in the regular season, if it's a meaningless part of the game. This is game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The fourth goal, that was the Cam Fowler goal. The thing that bothered me the most about that goal is like the Jets completely forgot about their defensive structure. It's like Toropchenko comes into the zone, dumps the puck in. Everybody's running around. Everyone's watching the puck. And then Cam Fowler just comes in and scores. It's like everything fell apart. And yes, this team is fragile right now. And it has been a weird series, guys. Let's be honest. It's almost been like, 2 different series. The Jets have played completely different at home than they have on the road. And look, the Blues are on an epic home winning streak right now. Like 15 games going back to the regular season is incredible. They're just on one of those crazy runs at home. But to Drew's point, the lack of effort and the fact that the Jets just completely wilted after that third goal was scored. I agree with Elliot Friedman. He said this on the broadcast during the second intermission. The game was over after that 3-1 goal. Yeah. And it shouldn't be. I mean, you look at the Oilers-Kings series, a 3-goal deficit to the Edmonton Oilers, that's nothing. They can do that in half of a period, right? So, I mean, that's the thing, Dave, that bothers me the most is the Jets stopped playing, and we have not, to Drew's point, we have not seen that type of letdown many times throughout this season.
Well, and the only thing I would add is did the Blues look like they were the team that was like chasing a lead? No. And you know what the Blues did look like in the third period? They looked like a team that was finishing all their checks. They looked like a team that was not holding up and thinking, okay, well, we've got this. Let's cruise into game 7. They said, let's add a few more licks. Let's put some paint on these guys. Mm-hmm. And again, those add up. Like this series is adding up. It's kind of reminiscent of the Jets Predators series where it was just
you empty the tank and you have nothing left for the next round.
Sure. Well, I'm not even talking about the next round, but I'm just right now I'm just thinking about this round specifically, and I'm just saying that it's that war of attrition that again, there are opportunities where I thought the Jets could finish checks and they didn't, and they held up in opportunities where the Blues just didn't. So every chance they got, Josh Morrissey put him through the glass. Mm-hmm. Every guy on the back end specifically, they're trying to put through the glass. So it is again, there are so many soft plays that I mean, there's so many soft calls. Don't even get me. The officiating should be sponsored by Charmin. How soft as some of these calls were. Again, well,
some of the calls were bad, Dave, but also like the penalties the Jets took at the end of the second period really bothered me. Right, like Nathan Walker's been a pest in this series. Like he's got 3 goals, he's been a pest. And by the way, I'm not sure how that spear was called a slash. Like,
my point is,
what person thought that was that was a spear. So Nathan Walker was getting under the Jets' skin, but like Josh Morrissey grabbing him and.
And also Logan Stanley taking your composure.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. I'm not talking saying. I mean,
I'm not talking about those penalties, boys. I'm talking about more in the first period where they have more of an impact on the game. By the second period, the third period, and again, I don't give a shit if it's the Jets or the Blues. I don't like the calls. Period. Right. I just think that the way the refs are calling it, they change the standard. They're like, oh, and it's so funny hearing people laud the referees. Yes, they call it by a standard. It's like, well, no. They modify their standard, and they modify their standard.
Yeah, but game. Again, as I say, Dave, as I've said,
I understand, Drew. Like I said, I know what you're going to say, and it's.
So I don't have a problem with it, to be perfectly honest. I think that should be the standard. No, but it's the standard, and they've been consistent, so I'm fine with it. I mean, officiating has
fine, but Drew, no offense.
Officiating is different in the playoffs than it is in the regular season. I'm not saying otherwise,
but it's also this is hockey. It's not supposed to be the softest game. Like, I'm sorry, you got to let these guys play the game. And the way they're calling these penalties, look, you want to end the shenanigans behind the net and take an extra guy who starts things, fine. But I'm talking about like these marginal calls, and I'm looking at them like, what was like the Nino Niederreiter penalty for roughing?
Yeah, that was
that. And again, like I said, like I'm just saying that just put the whistles away. Let the teams decide. And again, like I said, I don't think the power plays were particularly impactful. I mean, obviously Cole Perfetti scored on one, but and again, I'm not suggesting
so did Niederreiter.
Yeah, but I'm not, and I'm for the
No,
record,
Drew, no one cares about that goal, so it
Yeah,
doesn't really.
But I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that the penalty somehow impacted this game. I just don't like the fact that they are having that sort of effect. But again, like I said, it doesn't really matter because the Jets' attention to the details we're not there enough to win this hockey game.
No, we're going to break down all the goals. We're going to get real deep into it. And of course, tomorrow morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m., we'll discuss, can the Jets, look, they did a good job in Game 5 putting the first 2 bad games behind them. Can they do it again for Game 7? And that's obviously a topic that we'll delve deeper into tomorrow as we discuss the series and everything else. But it's, again, if you're the St. Louis Blues, I just don't know how you're not brimming with confidence entering Game 7. You got nothing to lose if you're the Blues.
You've lost 3 games in Winnipeg, so that doesn't hurt.
That's right. That doesn't help them. But I mean,
that doesn't hurt the Jets, is what I meant. Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, but all the pressure has got to be on the shoulders of the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, you're the President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets. You've won. I mean, you're the 1 versus the 8 seed if you did that 1-8 idea anymore, but they don't. I mean, to me, it's just, can the Jets find another, can the Jets even continue to dig deep and find something more to get them the series win like they did in Game 5? I mean, that to me is just the doubts have to be so massive for the Winnipeg Jets, that it's going to be a real difficult hill to climb for Game 7 on Sunday evening. That to me is it's the fragility of it all. It's the between the ears of it all for the Winnipeg Jets that leaves me questioning them the most.
It's a fair comment, Drew. And I think part of that has to do with how they played tonight. Part of it has to do with, being outscored 12-3 in games 3 and 4. Part of it has to do with the fact that the Jets had an opportunity to close out the series, like you said, right? But it's the manner, I think, in which they lost tonight's game that makes you the most nervous. Like, I absolutely think the Jets can win Game 7. I'm not guaranteeing the Jets winning Game 7. I'm just saying I think it's ridiculous to say that the Jets don't have a chance to win Game 7. No, I'm not saying that. Just hold on, Drew. Let me finish. Okay. I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm just saying that it's going to be a big game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout game. Do the Blues have some momentum and an advantage going into Game 7? I think you could make that argument based on what happened tonight. But yes, to your point about the psychological aspect of this series, yeah, it's been, I mean, you threw out that tweet. I think that's the year you had your bar mitzvah, 1960.
Yes, thank you. Billick already made that joke. So here's the tweet, what you're talking about, that this is very similar to the 1960 World Series.
I don't know where you pulled that from, Drew. Like, I read that tweet and I was like, did Drew just go on like a huge...
No,
did you just go down the rabbit hole on the internet there?
I actually knew this one off my fingertips.
Right, because you were 13 back then.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. But for whatever reason, the 1960 World Series is one of those random sporting events. Not that I was alive for it, just for the record. I'm not, in fact.
Drew is only 1 year older than I am.
I'm not 65 years old, despite what we talk about here on the show.
Dave, it goes back to, hold on. Before we go back to you, Drew, here, I still say that my favorite moment in TSN 1290 history was when someone called in legitimately wanting to know if Drew was in his 80s, because Richie and I used to give him a hard time all the time. So anyways, continue though.
So for whatever reason, I have this stat that I know about the 1960 World Series. Don't ask me why. 1960 World Series, the Pittsburgh Pirates defeated the New York Yankees 4-3. In the 4 games that the Pirates won, they won scores 6-4, 3-2, 5-2, and 10-9. Close games. The 3 games the Yankees won, they won 16-3, 10-0, and 12-0. So you can see the parallels sort of between that World Series and this first round playoff series between the Jets and the Blues, and that when the Blues win, they just blow the Jets right out of the water. They just absolutely lambaste them. They destroy them. But when the Jets win, they're close games. And ultimately, it's all that matters is how many close games you win, not, by margin of victory. And so that's something that I guess Winnipeg Jets fans, if you want to use that, you can use that, as something to rely on. Again, I know that it's baseball versus hockey. Thank you, everybody. I'm just trying to make some parallels here as we talk about tonight's game, as we discuss the Jets collapsing yet again. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to go deep into my historic reservoir of information and bring you some context and some things to be optimistic about regarding Game 7 between the Jets and the Blues. We say good evening to all of you. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. It is presented by PlayNow. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on, because we're going to do this all again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with 2 hours of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Then on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, we're going to do it live at City Place and on our YouTube channel with the Illegal Curve pregame show, getting you set for Game 7. And then after Game 7, whether it's celebratory or it's a therapy session, we're going to have the Illegal Curve post-game show. So plenty of Illegal Curve action coming your way when the rest of this weekend. Sorry, my unneeded diatribes, but keeping this show going for all these 15 years or so.
The Dixon Cider comment I just had up, he was calling Drew a history teacher.
If I could go back, I think I would take more history courses in university. I realized that
love
after
history.
the fact. Yeah,
I love history.
A little too late for that at this point in time. I'm not going to go back and do that. But there's some history lesson for you. The Winnipeg Jets need to put this game behind them. They need to make it into a historic game that will obviously result in the historic Game 7 on Sunday evening. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap because, hey, the first goal of this game is going to lead to a lot of conversation as well. It's coming up right now.
The PlayNow game recap.
It's brought to you by our friends at PlayNow. Learn to bet with PlayNow, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. The Blues, they opened the scoring. Not before Nikolaj Ehlers had a decent opportunity. Jordan Binnington made a nice pad save, but Ehlers getting an opportunity is something we did not expect to even say to begin to start today's actions. The Blues do open the scoring, though. It's Phil Broberg, his first of the playoffs. It comes at the 6:05 mark of the first period. Robert Thomas and Jimmy Snuggerud get the assists on this one. It is as knuckly of a knuckle puck. R.A. Dickey, a Tim Wakefield, may he rest in peace, special to give the Blues the 1-0 lead. The controversial part of it, though, is the actions of Pavel Buchnevich in the blue paint. I think the Jets made an error in not challenging this one. They took a timeout to look at it even further, decided no challenge, goal on the board, 1-0 for St. Louis. Should have challenged or shouldn't have challenged, as the Ginsburg.
Yeah, it's a real tough one. And you guys heard the panel, Kelly Rudy, Kevin Bieksa, all the guys talking about it. Derek Lalonde, former Lightning coach, he obviously talked about it as well. And they all referenced, I guess they texted some video coaches that they know during the break, right? So they did a full deep dive, and they all agreed that there was a case to challenge it. And I guess my personal opinion, Drew, is that first glance, like as it was happening real time, I thought absolutely that's getting called back. Like, and then obviously you watch the replay, and so as is so many times, right, Dave? You watch these replays, and it's like so many things happen that you didn't see originally in real time, right? So yes, as you're watching it, it looks like Pavel Buchnevich interferes with Hellebuck. One person that pointed something out that I thought was really interesting, if you watch Dylan Sandberg skate, if you zoom in, you see Dylan Sandberg's skate actually touches Hellebuck. This is what Murat tweeted. And then I watched it, and so Sandberg's skate actually does clip Hellebuck. But that doesn't change the fact that Buchnevich went into the blue paint on his own and interfered with Hellebuck. And as Drew points out, that has been the standard for goalie interference. If the player goes in on his own and interferes with the goalie, like I said, then you have a case. But the thing that I thought was interesting, Dave, and I want to get you in here, I thought that the timeout was very interesting because obviously Matt Prefontaine, minus the Connor Geekie goal, I believe is 100% on the year. So Matt Prefontaine is the man. The Jets coaching staff trusts him, right? So they took
video
that
coach for the Winnipeg Jets. For
yes,
those
video
who
coach
don't
for the
know
Jets.
who he is.
They took that timeout to really give themselves extra time to see if it was something they wanted to challenge, and they decided no. So obviously they saw the same thing that the Sportsnet panelists saw, but it was awfully close.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm with Ez. I mean, my initial reaction, especially based on what Hellebuck did, was that, yeah, that's for sure at least goalie interference or something resembling goalie interference, and you challenge it all day long. And just if you don't get it right, you're prepared to try and kill the PK. But I mean, you have to have a lot of faith in Matt Prefontaine. I mean, the guy knows his business, and he, like, as he says, he's pretty damn good at what he does. So if he looked at it and thought it was enough not to earn the review, especially, and then when you watch the replay, and I thought the panel did a good job in the first period, probably because they didn't have any other games to talk about. So they actually broke this one down, but they actually, the way Friedman said, I mean, the referee was fairly emphatic that Sandberg was the one who created the push. Now, of course, the referee could review his own work and be like, well, okay, there was something else there that overruled what I didn't see initially. But yeah, I mean, it was tight, and it's just unfortunate for the Jets because, again, like I said, you're playing relatively well, and it's a total muffin of a shot. It's obviously, you can call it a knuckler, but it wasn't something that he, if it's clean, he's not stopping. And so, it's just, again, it's another one of those situations where, like, one of the things that we watched on video before the game, I think it was with Derek Lawn, was just how well the Jets did at boxing out the front of the net and protecting it. And here's an example of, and we'll see if quite a few of those in this hockey game where they didn't box out the front of the net. They didn't protect the house. And as a result, you have guys getting in Connor. And what has been the goal of the St. Louis Blues from the start of this series was to take away Connor Hellebuck's eyes and to get in his face. And so you've got a situation there where they do, because again, you don't box out, you allow Buchnevich to get into that spot. And yeah, again, like I said, he goes into the blue. So perhaps, I think the problem is if he goes into the blue and Hellebuck tries to get to the front of the net and is impeded without Sandberg there, then I think you're challenging all day long.
Yeah.
Again, I understand your position.
What do you want Sandberg to do on this play? Here's the argument I have against that. So again, the standard all season long, and I gave the NHL praise. Well, there goes Dave. Apparently I cut him off, and that was the end of Dave there. But the standard all year long, Ezzy, to what you were referencing as well, is that if you went into the blue paint on your own, it's incumbent on you to not be in the goalie's area, to not interfere with the goalie. Buchnevich goes into that blue paint on his own. Sandberg is just trying to get Buchnevich out of the blue paint.
Right.
Does Sandberg make contact with Connor Hellebuck? Certainly.
You're almost saying that what Sandberg does is irrelevant.
To some extent, yes, because it's all in the effort of getting Buchnevich out of the blue paint. That's, to me, the issue. Welcome back, Dave.
I didn't even realize I left, to be honest with you.
Well, you just decided turned in. You were like the Jets in the second period. You just disappeared. It was a disappearing
just didn't feel right not having the fire above my head, so I had
there
to
you go.
Dave, don't worry. Drew didn't let me talk. He was just blathering for a good 30 seconds.
But what I was saying, though, is that once
you start from right when I left?
Yeah, I can. I will be glad to repeat myself. When Buchnevich goes into the blue paint, I don't know what you want Sandberg to do in this instance. Buchnevich goes into
I'm
the
with
blue.
you, Drew. I have no problem with what Sandberg did here.
Sandberg is just trying to extricate the Blues player from in front of his goaltender. Correct. Does Sandberg make some contact with Hellebuck? Yes, but so does Buchnevich. This, to me, you go back and you watch the replay. You watch it. Sandberg, makes that contact, but you also see Buchnevich make contact with Hellebuck's right shoulder on the play, all in the course of the action. To me, it wasn't even as close as they're making it out to be. I thought, based on the standard that has been established all season long. And I don't give a damn, Elliott, and I like Elliott. I don't give a damn how emphatic the referee is when he makes his call. I want an official being emphatic when he makes his call. But then that's why we have video review, is that he can go back and he can look at it and he can say, okay, this is what we've been expected to call based on the rules. Buchnevich goes in there. He goes in there on his own. If I'm the official, what do you want Sandberg to do here? How do you want Sandberg to play this in such a way so that he can get Buchnevich out there and doesn't interfere with his goaltender? To me, Buchnevich is getting rewarded for being in the blue paint, for interfering with Hellebuck, if you're looking at what Sandberg's actions were to try and get Buchnevich out of the play. To me, the Jets erred in not challenging this as goaltender interference.
Right, and it obviously didn't turn out to be as big of a goal as we thought.
True.
But at the time, an early goal in the first period is huge, right? And you know, we had the comment up earlier, like somebody was saying, you know, they wasted a timeout. I mean, the timeout was not going to save the Jets tonight in the second period, right? So let's just get that out of the way. I appreciate the comment, but Drew's right here. I mean, I think it's worth a challenge. Doesn't necessarily mean that the goal would have been called off, but I think it is worth a challenge based on how this has been called throughout the season. But again, this goes back to what we've said so many times: goalie interference. There's too much of a gray area when it comes to goalie interference sometimes. But again, this is about as close as it gets. So I know you want to move on here, Drew, but I mean, this was definitely at the time a very contentious goal.
The irony, of course, is you don't want to challenge, find out you're wrong, and then get the minor penalty. But what happens 32 seconds after the goal goes unchallenged is that the Jets take a minor penalty for the puck over glass by Dylan DeMello, which they ultimately killed off. It didn't end up hurting them.
Don't make me say it, Drew. I mean, literally, as I'm watching that, I don't care. I like that penalty has been around for how long now? 20 years? It still pisses me off. Like, I hate it. It's just like, it's, you know, it's again, Dylan DeMello, it's an accident. That there should be some discretion there.
I was going to say, the funny part is I don't even think that the Blues thought it was a penalty. It seemed like nobody was like, everybody was kind of like, okay, that's just, you know, whatever. And then next thing you know, it's a penalty and they got to try and make the kill. But, and the other thing also, Drew, though, that's worth mentioning. I mean, I know we're focusing a lot on whether it should have been goalie interference, but the Jets also allowed the Blues to penetrate the zone like a knife through, like a hot knife through butter. I mean, there wasn't a lot of resistance in their effort. And that's also part of the problem, because one of the things that the Jets talked about was playing harder, not allowing guys to have get those open lanes, not allowing them to gain access without a slight bump here and a bump there to try and like knock them off their game. That's the problem. So that's funny. So someone asked Drew to come work for the Kings video coach, for those listening on the podcast. But I mean, I think that's also part of the thing that we have to focus on. Like, I know we want to focus on whether it was goalie interference or not, but the Blues gained the Jets zone fairly easily there and took the puck in and went behind the net. Guys were, again, they were just a fraction of a second slow, and it sets up what, again, should have been a nothing play, except for the fact that there's that controversy in front of the net.
1-0 at the end of 20 minutes. Worth noting, the Jets killed off 2 Blues power plays. The Jets had their own power play opportunity as well. And we have to mention again, Connor Hellebuck did step up late in the second period with that great save off of Jimmy Snuggerud with the paddle again, while the Jets were shorthanded there. That frantic sort of goalmouth scramble where Neil Pionk also made a save. So you got to mention the good with the bad. The bad outweighed the good, no question about it. But it was 1-0 after 20 minutes for the Blues, largely because Hellebuck made that save. Jets make it 1-1. It's disallowed. Morgan Barron, great individual effort, picking off the pass from Justin Falk, coming right up the middle, getting hooked, and yet scoring the goal. Unfortunately, Mason Appleton was just a little sloppy. As Dave says, Poppy was sloppy. Mason Appleton just a little too casual on this one, not expecting the blatant turnover by Justin Falk onto the stick of Morgan Barron. The Blues challenge for offside. It's clearly offside. The goal is removed from the scoreboard, and instead of it being 1-1 very early in the second period, it was still 1-0 for the Blues.
Morgan Barron is robbed of a beautiful goal, and Drew and I are robbed of 2 points in our hockey pool because goals are worth 2 points. And this is the second time that Morgan Barron thought he had a goal because, guys, go back to game 1 in Winnipeg, and Jared Anderson-Dolan actually tipped that puck, right, Dave, and got the goal, not Morgan Barron. So unfortunate. And I'm not gonna get too excited here, but does Morgan Barron finally get his goal in Game 7? I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself here, but I'm just saying, if you believe in the hockey gods, and I do believe in the hockey gods, I'm just saying Morgan Barron is due a goal. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, guys. Mason Appleton's offside, and it goes back to what Dave said tonight. Whether it was the first goal when the Jets were just too loose defensively, or if it was this play, or whether it was the fourth goal that was scored by Cam Fowler, whether it was the Toropchenko goal, the 5-1 goal, whatever, the Jets' attention to detail was just not there. And again, like, this just didn't, to Drew's point, referencing the 1960 World Series. I think it was the World Series that you were talking about.
The World Series, yeah.
The World Series. It's been a tale of two different series, right? Like, the Jets have played much differently in St. Louis. And again, we got to credit the Blues, Dave, because they play well in front of their home crowd. We already talked about it, the 15 wins in a row at home. Mm-hmm. But the Jets have just been uncharacteristic. And to me, a lot of this stuff is self-inflicted.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the comments post game, which we'll get to. We'll hear, I'll read some quotes from the Jets dressing room in a little bit of time. But self-inflicted certainly was the theme for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. 1-0 after 20 minutes. Then the Jets get this goal disallowed, but they do eventually tie it up 1-1. It's a power play goal. You talk about guys finally getting off the schneid, guys who've been close. Cole Perfetti is certainly one of those guys.
No review needed there, right, Drew?
No review needed on this one. Nathan Walker is in the penalty box for slashing Dylan Samberg. Just an undisciplined penalty, and the Jets take advantage. Cole Perfetti, the jam play on the side of the net of Binnington, then he demonstrates his baseball skills with a nice little bunt out of midair to finally get that monkey off of his back when it comes to goal scoring in the playoffs, and tie the game up at 1 goal apiece and really give the Jets some juice. I mean, give the Jets some juice. They played well in the second period to this point in time. They've been the better of the two teams for the first 10 minutes of the second period. They were outshot after 20 minutes, 8-2. And then I think they rattled off something like, 8 or 9 shots in the first 10 minutes of the second period before it all went to hell after that. But the Jets get rewarded. They get on the board 1-1 at this point in time. Perfetti finally gets that goal. And then the Jets really keep it going a little bit with the Ehlers attempts shortly thereafter as well.
Yeah, and just sticking on Ehlers for a second, Drew, we talked about how everyone collectively was pretty shocked, right, Dave, that Ehlers, it's almost like Ehlers, it was like he shed the no contact jersey. It was like he came out with the NWO shirt, right? Like, that was kind of like what it was like. He's like, no, I'm coming back. I'm not just shedding the no contact jersey. So he surprised everybody. And he looked good tonight, guys, right? Like, obviously a lot of eyes were on him. I believe he got the first shot of the game, right? It was a rebound, if I'm not mistaken.
The one that Binnington made the save early in the first minute and a half or so.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this too. Velarde in his first game back got the first shot of the game, which, again, this has been a weird series. Like, just stepping back for a second, like, this has been a weird series. Like, it's been a highly contested series, but there's been a lot of, like, disallowed goals and, obviously a lot of, rough stuff between the two teams and the Scheifele injury and everything like that. But yeah, the Jets were good in the second period, led by Ehlers. Like, Ehlers was noticeable out there. It's amazing how having 27 back in the lineup just instantly makes your team that much faster, right? Like, he did not look slow. He did not look out of place. Looked like he hadn't missed a game at all.
No, I would agree with you. Ehlers, I thought, was very good for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. I mean, he has his 2 chances, both in tight on Binnington with some speed. Before that, Josh Morrissey and Vlad Nemesnikov had a good give-and-go opportunity that the Jets just missed on. I mean, that was sort of the best rush that I can think of from Josh Morrissey in the course of this series so far, a guy who's really struggled. The Blues have been targeting him, and they've certainly been making him pay throughout the series. And the Jets come very close. And unfortunately, close but no cigar, And then it really just the collapse, the epic collapse that we've all been talking about for the entirety of this 40 minutes so far of the Illegal Curve post-game show. It starts with 11:34 gone in, pardon me, to play in the 11:34 gone at the 11:34 mark of the second period. It's just a bad play by Josh Morrissey. It's just a weak clearing attempt. He's got possession. Yes, the Jets are in need of a line change, no disputing that point, but you have to find a way to get it over the red line, get it over center, and then dump it in. Instead, he just turns it over. The Blues transition right up the ice very quickly. The Jets go for the bad line change. And as we talked about, nobody touches nobody touches Nathan Walker in front of the net. Philip Broberg with the aggressive rush, and he goes from behind the net out front. Niederreiter, Velarde, they're both late. They're both covering air rather than a stick. And the Blues get a 2-1 lead at the 11:34 mark. A little bit demoralizing for the Winnipeg Jets, given how they've played. But you think it's a 1-goal deficit. It's not the end of the world. Of course, David, quickly turned to be the end of the world for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, and again, Drew, to me, this is all about just not paying attention to what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, what does Nino Niederreiter think he's doing exactly? I mean, he gets and the worst part about it, to be honest with you, is that Nino Niederreiter does the flyby. I mean, he comes cruising through. He's got Nathan Walker, and then it's almost like he's set up to score on Connor Hellebuyck because he's at the side of the net doing absolutely nothing. And even if there's a reversal there's nobody there. He knows because he came in from the point. So he knows what's going on. And yet, again, like Nino Niederreiter is a good player, generally speaking, but this is, I think, a really bad play. And you're right, not a great time for a line change. I mean, you don't like the fact that Kyle Connor decided to just go off the way they did because it wasn't deep enough. He could have stayed on to try and help out. But yeah, Nino Niederreiter comes cruising in and just leaves Walker right in front of the net. And, I know some folks said that Connor Hellebuyck was deep, but at the same time,
this one, Dave, this one is not on Helly.
I'm
sorry, I don't care what anybody says. This is not Hellebuyck here. This is, like you just said, Dave. This is not knowing your job. It's Drew mentioned it, right? Morrissey, again, Josh Morrissey is the Jets' best defenseman, and oftentimes we are applauding his play because I think he's a top 10, arguably top 5 defenseman in the league.
Yeah.
But this is he starts it off by just lobbing it into the neutral zone when really you needed to get that puck deep. I know it's a cliche, but you got to make a better decision there. And like you said, Dave, Nathan Walker does a good job behind the net there, but Philip Broberg does a good job behind the net there.
Mm-hmm.
But Nathan Walker, he's wide open. He's not wide open. It's not that he's wide open. Nobody's moving him, and he's a smaller player to boot. Niederreiter that's the problem. Niederreiter is there, and he can lift his stick or move him out of the slot or whatever. It's terrible defensive coverage. And to me, unlike the Shen goal, which we'll get into right away, that goal is completely on the boys in front of Hellebuyck.
No question. I mean, I talked about it in Game 4. Where I was saying, the Blues are able to get in front of the Jets net and nobody on the Jets is laying a shoulder into them. This is an opportunity. You have to lay a shoulder into Nathan Walker here. You have to make him pay for being in front of the net like that. And, Nathan Walker is a small hockey player relative to so many of his NHL colleagues. Make him feel some pain. Make him hurt for going there. Don't let him stand there with his stick unfettered. Make him pay for this. And the Jets do not. And instead, Walker makes the Jets pay in return. 2-1 for the Blues at this point in time. And then again, we're talking about a matter of 53 seconds until it becomes 3-1. And then it's all downhill from here. But again, I've been saying it for 88 games at this point in time. Attention to detail, attention to detail, attention to detail. Neil Pionk's got the puck on his stick. He crosses over center. Does he put it into the corner? Does he put it into a soft spot? No, he puts it right into the glove of Jordan Binnington. Can't do that. Not with how good of a puck handler Binnington is. Binnington takes the puck. He headmans it right back up the ice. And the Jets are in trouble at this point in time. Luke Shen steps up tries to make a play on Jake Neighbors. Neighbors picks up the puck. He gets it over to Braden Shen. And Braden Shen is one-on-one with Neil Pionk here. He uses Pionk as a screen, but Hellebuyck can't let this goal in. I don't care what the circumstances are. You get beat for a second straight game short side on a weak goal. Didn't end up costing the Jets in game 5. I'm talking about the 2-all goal in game 5. I think that was Snuggerud who scored it, if I recall correctly. This one obviously is a backbreaker for the Winnipeg Jets because they just wilt being down 3-1. Bad play by Pionk. Don't love the play by Shen. Maybe, Pionk compounds the problem by maybe screening Hellebuyck a little bit. But
or getting his stick on the puck a little bit. I don't know how much he did. Yeah, I mean, again, like it's the timing of this goal, right? Because we talked about it. The Jets were the better team in the early stages of the second period. We already discussed that. Nick Ehlers had a good chance. Morrissey and Nemesnikov combined for a good chance. And then the Broberg to Nathan Walker goal is scored. Jets aren't good. And now you're down a goal. All the momentum is the St. Louis Blues' favor. And then shortly after that, this happens. Yeah. And Drew's right to point out Neil Pionk. We've said this time and time again. Jordan Binnington is one of the better puck-playing goaltenders in the league. You can't just give him literally give him the puck in his glove, right? You can't do that, first and foremost. And then this shot just can't go in. I mean, we're not going to beat a dead horse and spend too much more time. We've got over 600 people. By the way, the fact that the Jets lost this game 5-2 and we've got 640 people watching live, I love each and every one of you here. So smash that like button, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. But I don't think, the Jets fans that are watching the show right now, the Blues fans might want to talk about it, but Jets fans, I don't think want to talk about this much longer. But yeah, Hellebuyck's got to make that save, Dave, period.
Well, and again, one of the things we talked about is if the Jets are giving up possession of the puck too easily, right? I mean, Neil Pionk has that puck on his stick and he chooses to shoot it into Jordan Binnington, right? Yeah. So, and what have we talked about all season long, or not all series long, sorry, is how good Jordan Binnington is with the puck. And if there's no pressure on him, well, what's going to stop him from taking advantage of you making a line change? So they do, he does. And they do, because ultimately, this is, again, I'm sorry, regardless of whether Neil Pionk was there or not there, Connor Hellebuyck has to make that save. I mean, he's in the running for his third Vezina. He's in the running he was named as a Hart finalist. There is no excuse. You have to make that save. He knows better than anyone because he studied goaltending. But the fact of the matter is, you have to, by the way, kudos to, Jim Montgomery for his quip about being in the OR. He was late to the meeting because he was in the OR. That was funny stuff. I saw that comment.
But the problem is he used it twice. Let me put on
I agree. He
used it in talking to the assembled media, and then he used it again later during his one-on-one with Scott Oak.
Yeah,
if there's one thing that Drew doesn't like is recycled material.
I was going to say,
and I can attest to someone who tests my material out on Twitter and then uses it on the show. Yeah. I'm all for it. So I give him a big kudos for that one. I thought it was a funny quip, but at the end of the day, Connor Hellebuyck.
The first time he said it was a good line. The second time,
well, maybe that's.
I'm with Drew on that one.
Well, for the record,
I'm with Drew on that one. I mean, use it once, but then. I mean, it loses its cachet.
Once, mic drop, and then leave.
To be clear, I was referencing not the Scott Oak interview. I was referencing when I saw Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press put it out there. I thought that was funny. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
I do agree. I actually do agree with you, Drew. When he used it the second time, I kind of was like, kind of already used that one. But I will say, originally, I thought it was a very funny line by Jim Montgomery. But at the end of the day, this is a goal that can't go in. It's a backbreaker goal, and I agree with. I think it was Friedman who said it. I mean, that was the end of the game. I mean, again, Binnington was playing well. He was that's the other thing we have to mention, right? And I know we have, but he made a number of great stops in this hockey game where it could have changed the course of play. Captain Obvious.
2 Ehlers saves.
But yeah, of course. But even more so than that. He made one on Perfetti, made a number of nice saves in this hockey game. So the Jets had chances, but they couldn't bury them. And then again, like I said, you go down, you give up. And again, it's not even if you would have given up that goal 10 minutes later, which would be weird because that would have been during the second intermission. But if you would have given up that goal late in the period or early in the third,
right,
fine. But to give it up, 54 seconds after you just given up the 2-1 goal,
Right.
That's the killer.
To pull a Bayak is not to go bang bang is not a good one here for the Winnipeg Jets. They go bang bang bang. The Blues do.
And then they do a fourth bang for the record.
Yeah, they do a fourth bang after that. A minute
Bad
and
bang.
13 seconds later, Cam Fowler, his second assist by Parayko and Toropchenko. I want to point out, though, of course, before the Fowler goal, the Blues almost scored even earlier than this one. When there goes Dave again. When Radek Faksa, gets a good scoring chance. It's a wraparound opportunity, and Hellebuck actually makes the save here. But what happens is the Blues just keep coming. They keep coming. They keep coming. They keep coming. It is Cam Fowler, his second of the playoffs, assist to Parayko and Toropchenko, like I said. And again, the Jets, I don't like how Connor Hellebuck really plays this one, sort of paddling the puck behind the net rather than trying to freeze it. Parayko brings it out to Fowler. There's 5 guys in front of Connor Hellebuck as he's trying to fight through the screens on this one. I can understand why this goal goes in, Ezzy,
Sure.
but I don't like how Hellebuck sort of played it too casually before the goal goes in.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you on that one, Drew. And I don't like the way Hellebuck played this. I don't like the way anybody on the Jets that was on the ice played this.
No question.
I just thought, again, like you just said, the Jets have 5 guys. They have 5 guys around the goal line, completely forgetting basically anything they've been taught at any level of hockey, and they're just scrambly. They're just out of position. Morgan Barron's too low, and Cam Fowler just has way too much time to take the puck and move in and risk the shot in. Cam Fowler, by the way, has just been phenomenal in this series. The Jets just can't seem to slow him down. It's incredible. The story, because
if they hand out the Conn Smythe after 6 playoff games, he might be the Conn
honestly,
Smythe
what's
winner.
he up to? 10 points, 11 points?
10 points now.
He's got at least 10, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, whoever took him in our playoff pool is probably doing
nobody
pretty well.
did, Ezzy, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember if anybody took him, but somebody probably took him. Some St. Louis Blues fans took them in their hockey pool. But yeah, I mean, this is just poor defensive coverage. I thought just the Jets were too scrambly.
Yeah.
Didn't like the way Hellebuck played this. And again, guys, if the game wasn't over at 3-1 after Braden Shen's goal, the game was definitely over after Cam Fowler's goal, because the way Binnington was playing and the way the Jets were playing, they weren't scoring another 3 goals to tie this game up, even if we've seen other teams in the playoffs do this. So, this goal almost bothered me the most out of the 5 goals. Obviously, we'll get into the 5th goal. I don't know how much time we're going to spend on it, but
well, I mean, we talked about it already. Sorry for interrupting.
Right.
We talked about a little bit how DeMello and Shen just stopped playing on this one. DeMello. I get Dylan DeMello is a good pro. This is going to bother him, on a professional level, on a personal level, because you don't see him do this very often. Usually, Dylan DeMello is pretty consistent with the effort that he puts forth. And this one, when the puck just bounces over his stick, he just gives up on the play. And I mean, it's not a word. It's not a phrase I often like to use, because if you accuse players of quitting on plays, you're asking for trouble. That's a hard word to say. But on this one, you can just see how demoralized the team is, how demoralized he is as the puck jumps over his stick. There's no burst. There's no effort to go and retrieve it, except for by Radek Faksa, who hits Toropchenko in the middle of the slot, and he fires it past Connor Hellebuck to make it 5-1 with 3 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the second period. And it's gone from bad to worse to terrible to horrible for the Winnipeg Jets in a very short period of time, being down 5-1 after 40 minutes.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how we can mention that Nino Niederreiter scored, to make it 5-2, but let's be honest, guys, as Dave tweeted out, the game was over after 2 periods. And if there's one bright spot tonight, though, the Jets went 2 for 6 on the power play, and the Blues went 0 for 6 on the power play, right, Dave? So
yeah.
There's something that we can take from this game that was positive. I mean, I'll also throw in, and Drew mentioned this earlier, that's a big goal for Cole Perfetti, who obviously, we already talked about that. He was robbed of a power play goal earlier in this series, so nice for Perfetti. But that is something that the power play, and they almost obviously scored in the third period when it was a 6-on-4. I mean, there was a lot of penalties in that third period. But
at some point in time, I think Mike McIntyre tweeted that the Blues players or the Jets players were sitting on the floor of the penalty box because they ran out of bench space.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it was, and I mean, you expect that, right? When the score is 5-1, guys, you expect, the rough stuff to continue, right? But the only thing you can do after a loss like that, guys, is reset, right, Dave? Like game 7, you almost have to look at it like, this is just a 1-game series, right? You have to almost forget everything that has happened earlier, especially in this game. But I mean, one thing that the Jets have going for them that the Blues really can't do anything about is that whiteout crowd. And that whiteout crowd has proven to be huge for the Jets, winning all 3 games at home. That's all I'm saying. But the Jets have got to be a lot better defensively in front of Hellebuck. But Hellebuck himself, if Game 5 was a franchise-defining game, then I mean, this Game 7 is a career-defining game for Hellebuck in terms of his playoff performance. He's got to be better. Hellebuck is the Jets MVP, and he might be the league MVP. He's got to be better, but they've also got to be way better in front of him.
I've also got to be better, but I've also got to go because I got a bit of an emergency to deal with. So I hate to do this to you boys like this, but I'm gonna let you guys carry it on. I'll be back for tomorrow's show. So I bid everyone
go deal with whatever
adieu.
you need to deal with, Dave. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Not sure what that emergency is all about, but I suspect we're going to have some fun with it as long as it's not too serious of an emergency.
I think actually what happened is Dave got a tip that Braden Yager was at Boston Pizza right now. So Dave's actually going to go cover Braden Yager at Boston Pizza. Yeah.
That's hopefully whatever it is not a big deal, but we look forward to welcoming Dave back tomorrow morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show at 9 a.m. We'll go to break, and when we come back, we'll discuss more about the Jets and the St. Louis Blues, and we'll look ahead to Game 7 and talk about tomorrow's Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Much more to come, including our Seagram shot of the game, because I forgot to press the button. So I'll do that after the break. So don't go anywhere. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg with you. It's 11 o'clock on a Friday night. We roll on with the Illegal Curve post-game show.
We want to thank you for not betting with PlayNow and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with PlayNow, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Ezra Ginsburg with you. Illegal Curve is a proud sponsor, a proud media sponsor of the 2025 Rady JCC Sports Dinner. As you can see there on the screen, that's coming up on Tuesday, June the 10th. If you're a Vikings fan like yours truly, you're going to be excited to spend the night with Chris Carter and John Randall, legendary Minnesota Vikings players, two Pro Football Hall of Famers. They're going to be in Winnipeg Tuesday, June the 10th. The Rady JCC Sports Dinner is always a great night. We're going to be there. We want you to be there as well. Go get your tickets now, radyjcc.com.
Look at that handsome man in the right corner. Shout out to our friend Jared Ackman, looking very, very handsome.
Absolutely. The handsomeness will be on display. We're going to be there. So, of course, everyone's handsomeness is going to pale
be a lot of
hours. But, yes, it is going to be a lot of handsome in one room coming up that night on Tuesday, June the 10th. Questions will be if the Jets are still playing at that point in time or not. Question will be if the Jets are playing on Monday or not. Or I guess we know they won't be playing on Monday regardless. But if their season will be over on Monday, that is still yet to be determined. That'll be determined on Sunday, 6 p.m. puck drop. Pretty close to 6 p.m. Might be a couple minutes after that, but close enough. 6 p.m. puck drop for Game 7 between the Jets and the Blues. We will be at City Place starting at 4 o'clock. The Illegal Curve pregame show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, producer Tim, cast of thousands, guests, friends, family, everybody will be at City Place 4 p.m. on Sunday for the Illegal Curve pregame show. And then after the game, it's either going to be the last one of the season or it's going to be the last one of the series. It's going to be the Illegal Curve post-game show right around, let's say, 9 o'clock. Give or take a couple minutes for that. And then, of course, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. is the Illegal Curve hockey show. Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press is going to join us. Jesse Granger of The Athletic is going to join us as well. Jesse covers the Vegas Golden Knights, but he spent a lot of time this year on goaltending, on Connor Hellebuyck in particular. So given Hellebuck's struggles, it'll be interesting to talk to Jesse about those struggles and everything else going on around the Western Conference and the playoffs so far. So we're looking forward to that at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, Ezzy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was texting Jesse, asking him to come on the show. And
yeah,
he's a good friend of the show. We've been having him on for years, going back to the TSN 1290 days, since Vegas has entered the league.
Yeah,
obviously. And we're going to touch on the Golden Knights, who obviously had the big series win and who are going to play the Oilers, of course, in the second round. But this was not the type of performance from Hellebuyck we were hoping for. And Jesse is going to have a lot to say. He's a goaltender himself. And like you said, he's someone who has a very keen analytical mind for goaltending. And, again, Hellebuyck was, look, I know there's a lot of Jets fans that are upset, and we've posted some of the comments, and we've had a great crowd. Still have 500 watching live here. We had well over 600 earlier. I realize a lot of people are upset. You still have to have faith, though, in Hellebuyck. Again, I'm not saying you have to, but I think that if you are an optimist, you have to keep in mind that Hellebuyck has the ability to come through in big games. Has he been great in the series? No, far from it. He has not been very good. I think with the exception, we keep talking about game 2, but game 2 really was his best game so far out of the 6, especially the 3 games in St. Louis. Look, Drew, I can't sugarcoat it, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He has been bad in the 3 games in St. Louis specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, he's still the best goalie in the world. Whatever you want to say, the guy is nominated for the Hart Trophy this year. So just keep the faith. That's all I'm saying. I'm an optimistic guy, Drew. You've known me for a long time.
Yeah.
Just keep the faith. I'm not guaranteeing.
As he's going to go sing George Michael when we're done here. He's going to go sing "Faith" by George Michael. I'm looking forward to Ezzy's rendition of that. But I'll tell you what, thing, Ezzy, you're good at maybe giving people something to cheer for, something to hope onto, grab onto for some hope. Here's what came out of the Jets dressing room after the game. Cole Perfetti and Nikolaj Ehlers, they both referred to the Jets' second period collapse as, quote, self-inflicted. I would agree with those comments. Tonight was not about Connor Hellebuyck. Tonight, we imploded in front of him. That's Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel saying that. Continuing on, making an impassioned case for a one-game showdown. Those are Murat Atesh's words, not mine. Goalie versus goalie, grinders versus grinders. Quote, you win one game, you go on to the next round. One-game showdown. That's what it is. Our whole group, not just Connor. This isn't about Connor. Tonight was not about Connor. Tonight we imploded in front of him, and so now it's a one-game showdown. Something we've never seen in Winnipeg before. You can be excited about that. You can be disappointed about how the Jets have played on the road. Absolutely. But we've never had a Game 7 at home before. The Jets, Winnipeg-based hockey teams. Not since the WHA has there been a Game 7 in front of a crowd in Winnipeg.
If you thought that place was rocking for Game 5, Drew, oh man, is it going to be loud for Game 7? Like you said, first time in Jets history.
Exactly. So enjoy it. Have some fun with it. And be apoplectic if you want. I totally get that. Be upset, be nervous. I totally get that as well. Life's too short to always be miserable. Have some fun with it, folks. It doesn't happen every day. You live for Game 7s. That's what you do. You put in the work for all season long. You would like it to be Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, but you'll take Game 7 in the first round, as the case may be.
Keep the faith, man. Keep the faith, Jets fans. It's going to be okay. They're going to win Game 7. Again, this isn't a Ginsburg guarantee, but just keep the faith, man.
Not quite a guarantee, but just Ezzy telling you to keep the faith. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., for the Illegal Curve hockey show. We're looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about the series, of course, in its entirety. Matchups, line changes, roster changes, whatever might be relevant for Game 7. We'll talk about it. Some of the great shots that we've seen in the series so far. There's been plenty of them. There's been a whole bunch of Seagram shots of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
You see, I forgot to do it before, so I had to fit it in wherever I could. Wedge it in a little awkwardly. I'll give it to Cole Perfetti. You only get your first playoff goal once in your career. He got it tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. That made it 1-1. It all went bad after that, but Cole Perfetti gets our Seagram shot of the game. Big thanks to Seagrams for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Drew, it's understandable that you missed the Seagram show when you're acting as a host of a hockey show, but also counseling people in the chat.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to remember the Seagram shot of the game, so I think we'll give you a pass on that one.
Thank you. At the very least, it's therapeutic, this post-game show, I hope, at least for all of you. I hope so you find some solace in it. I hope you find some joy in it. I hope you find some entertainment in it. Obviously, the game was not the way that many of you wanted it to go, but it's a one-game battle now on Sunday, and we'll be there to guide you, to hold your hand through it, through thick and thin, starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We look forward to that. We say a big thank you to all of our sponsors who make this show, the Saturday show, the post-game show, and the pre-game show a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Chad Daniels. If you're looking for something to do, if you're looking to laugh, and you might really need a laugh given how tonight's game went, tomorrow, Rumors Comedy Club, Chad Daniels, hilarious. Do it. rumorscomedyclub.com. Our friends at PlayNow, Holt Dental, Boston Pizza, City Place. Again, we'll be at City Place Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Join us there. Pre-game show, the Game 7, Seagrams, the Rady JCC Sports Dinner, and Wheatland Hockey. Support all these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We'll be back in about 9 hours and 45 minutes for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We look forward to all of you joining us then. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on when we go live on the pregame show, on the Saturday show, on the postgame show. For Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve postgame show. We'll see you in less than 10 hours for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.